This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judging it blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Welcome to another edition of A's Cast Live. That's right, Pedro, A's Cast Live. Let's go. Without Pedro, where would we be? I don't feel secure as he runs security.
Well,
How are you, Commander?
I'm good. Between him and Jason Silva, they protect both. They protect all of us.
Without them, where would we be? What a show we have for you today. Brent Rooker has an event tomorrow. He's got a kids camp here in Sacramento.
Yeah, I think it's from 5 to 8, I want to say, the time. I personally just found out about it the other day, and I was like, well, we got to get Rooker on.
We haven't had Rook on. We haven't talked to him about the All-Star game. We haven't talked to him about a lot of stuff. And also, just not about him. I know it's really important that he helps set the foundation for the future. He's a part of the future, but, kind of his report card on the kids. Jacob Wilson, he went to the All-Star game with him, Nick Kurtz, and, of course, Tyler Soderstrom as he continues to blossom and lead the club in RBIs. Last 2 days have just been spectacular here. I mean, Monday you could consider the best home game of the season. And some people may consider it the best game of the year. Like, you're taking on Tarek Skubal. I get it's going to be really tough to beat the 19 total bases and the 4 home runs by Nick Kurtz down in Houston. But to get to Skubal, the grand slam, best team in the American League, Monday was pretty spectacular. The walk-off in 10, Darryl Hernandez, a great eye, just a total team effort with a chance to sweep the Tigers at home. That's a big deal. Put it this way. You want to know how big of a deal it is? We had a big powwow today. We had a big all-staff meeting, which, thank you for showing up, Commander. We appreciate that, being the team player that you are.
I want to hear it. I'm just here to help the ball club.
Hello there, Christopher.
I was rapping with the owner, John Fisher, and was talking with him. He's about to have another grandchild, but really, he didn't want to talk grandchild. He wanted to talk about the 2 wins. The owner's fired up about the 2 wins. So that tells you everything you need to know. Everybody pretty excited with a chance for the sweep today. We got great updates on the ballpark. Ballpark is going. There was a little laughter and a little chatter, just to let you all know, for everybody. I call it the cesspool on Twitter. There's a big cesspool out there that's trying to feed you a lot of misinformation. It's not true. Ballpark is going as planned, and it is going. So whatever's being sold out there, I'm just giving you the advice. Don't be buying it. Ballpark is getting built. So we got Brent Rooker coming on today in moments. Dan Petry with the Tigers broadcast team. He was on the 1984 World Series champion.
You were at that World Series.
Dan Petry and I may be the only 2 people in the ballpark today that were at the 1984 World Series.
I'm trying to think if there would be anyone here. I'm going to go with probably not.
Okay, buddy.
I don't know if there's anyone in the Tigers organization that could be here that would be.
I think there may be an equipment guy or whatever. But I know Dan Petry and I were both at the 1984 World Series.
Yeah, because Kurt Gibson's not calling the games this weekend, so this week, so he wouldn't be there.
Alan Trammell, Lou Whitaker, Darrell Evans.
Who was the Willie Hernandez?
Willie Hernandez,
who won
the
MVP?
Closer. The great Jack Morris.
Didn't Hernandez win the Cy Young and MVP that year?
Jack Morris we had on the program at the Coliseum.
Well, that was the most intimidating thing I've ever had to do.
He's a big dude. He's a big, scary dude, and he comes over and he told us the great story about Jack Morris learned his split finger forkball at the Coliseum.
I'll move out of the way. Rooker's coming.
You remember that story? It was at the Coliseum that he started with the grip, and he said, you know what, the hell with it. I'm just going to go out and I'm going to try it. He was really struggling in his career, and next thing you know, it landed him in the Baseball Hall of Fame. So, yeah, we will have Dan Petry. And then, of course, Chris Mallory, the president of the Summerlin South Little League that just won the United States Championship and then lost in the World Series Championship of the Little League World Series to Chinese Taipei. They're having their parade at 6 o'clock tonight. We taped them yesterday, so pretty cool. We'll talk a little baseball with the president of the Summerlin South Little League, Chris Mallory, and then after their parade, they're going to be going right into the Aviator Stadium, and they're going to have a big celebration for them there. Brent Rooker now joins us, All-Star Brent Rooker, here on A's Cast Live. I don't know how much you followed the Summerlin South Little League and their deal, but we're honoring them down in Las Vegas tonight. I guess it just overtook the Valley. Everybody in Vegas loved it. It was a pretty special run.
Yeah, it's awesome. That tournament's always fun to watch, and see the kind of support that those kids get is really cool. I know they love it.
Speaking of kids, you got a big event, a camp tomorrow here in Sacramento.
Yeah, tomorrow afternoon, 5 to 8, I believe, at Army Depot Park, I believe, in Sacramento. Should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it.
What does that mean to you to give back to the kids? Because obviously you remember as a kid, any type of event, anytime you're around a big leaguer, it's so special.
Yeah, the opportunity is cool. I'm excited to get out there and meet everybody. Obviously, you remember those things that you went to growing up when you're however old, 8, 9, 10 years old, and the only thing you can think of and dream about is playing in the big leagues. And to kind of be in that position now and be on the reverse end of it is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Oh, it's so cool. Like you get out there and the little kids, because you never really think about it. Like out here, you got people asking autographs, and they're going to get in front of these little kids, and they're all going to be looking at you.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think so. I think we're going to have some competitions, try to learn some stuff, play some games, I think, and have a good time.
All right, we haven't had you on since the All-Star game. It has been a while. Take us through Home Run Derby, the All-Star game. It looked like you had one hell of a run, and you had one great time.
Yeah, what a fun week. What a fun few days that was. Obviously, always a really cool experience to get to play in the game, and then doing the Derby on top of it was, even cooler. So it's made some memories that will last a lifetime, and is an experience that I'll cherish forever.
Was it a little tough? Because obviously we all remember back, like not enough balls, and talk about the timing and everything, and then losing by whatever that measurement was. Was that a rough one?
No, it was all right. It was still fun.
Yeah.
I had a great time competing against those guys. And if anybody's going to knock me out, I'm glad it was Cal. So with the season he has going and how fun it is to compete against him. Did I cut out?
No,
nope,
you're still
good.
there.
My headphones went out, but good. How fun it is to compete against Cal, in division games and stuff, and add that to the Derby too was a lot of fun.
You are brutally honest at times, and I thought that was so interesting when you came down and you said, I really didn't feel like I belonged last time. What was it like the second time around for you personally going in there now where you not only feel like you belong, you should be there?
Yeah, it was a very different experience for me personally. I felt, like you said, I felt less out of place. I felt, I was able to be a little bit more social and interact with guys just because, being in the league for 3 years now, I've got relationships with guys from competing against them, and you're able to go talk to them and have conversations, both about baseball and about non-baseball things as well. So two very different experiences for me from the first one to the second one. Neither one was, I'm not going to say there's one that's more special and more fun than the other because they're both very different, and I'll cherish both of them. But it was a unique experience for sure. You're
very humble, but you got to admit this time around, like, everybody in the league, and just not when we're talking about players, it's media, it's like everybody now, they now know exactly who you are.
Yeah,
that's far different.
Yes, it's very different, and my just the way I'm able to interact with people too, because I'm more comfortable in those scenarios and in those situations. It changed in that aspect as well.
I remember talking to Darren Bush earlier this year about you and about your commitment to hitting and to being an all-around hitter. Obviously you could hit home runs, but the ability to make more contact, hard contact, and sometimes not the hard contact and get the base hits, but to really raise the average. And that raised all of your numbers with the power. Being an all-around hitter, how much pride have you taken in that and how you've changed, let's say, elevated your game?
Yeah, a big thing for me this year is strikeouts have been cut way down from where I've been in the past. It's something I've been conscious of, and something that's also just kind of come more naturally as I've gotten more at bats against this type of pitchers and against this caliber of arms. So, I want to impact this team as many ways as I can offensively, whether that's hitting homers, driving in runs, scoring runs, running the base as well, whatever I can do to help us get as many runs across the board as we can is ultimately the end goal.
Your ability to drive the baseball, especially with your lower half and using the ground, and it's just to get that turn and the lean. We love the lean when you lean back and hit the home run. Talk about that lean and how much power you're getting from your lower body.
Yeah, that one normally comes breaking balls down in the zone when I'm trying to get it up in the air, or maybe when I'm trying to create a little extra space to on a fastball to give myself a little bit more room out front to hit it up in the air. But yeah, I dive into swing stuff and all the biomechanics and things like that to try to make sure that I'm in the best positions possible to have as much success as I can. But you got to learn to balance that with approach things and with knowing that you're up there playing baseball, you're not playing baseball swing. So it's just trying to win at bats and compete against the best pitchers in the world day in and day out, and it's what makes it fun.
Let's get a progress report, because before the All-Star game, you talked about how you're trying to help pave the path for these kids in the future, because they're the future leaders of this organization as you're the leader now. Let's kind of go over some of the kids. The progress report on Nick Kurtz.
Yeah, I don't have to do much with Nick. I just kind of sit back and let him be one of the best hitters in the world, and that's what he is. He is a blast to watch. He does things that normal 22-year-olds shouldn't be doing in this league, and when you kind of couple that advanced feel to hit and advanced approach with the obvious, very physical attributes and tools that he has, you get exactly what you're watching, which is, like I said, one of the best hitters in the world. Tyler
Soderstrom, this has turned out to be his first full year, a very good year at the age of 23.
Tyler's been a blast to watch. Obviously came out of the gates as hot as anybody in the league, and then went through that natural progression where you have your first little bit of extended success in the big leagues, and teams adjust and teams figure you out and teams pitch you differently, and you've got to readjust and you've got to learn what they're doing now and how you have to go up there and combat that. And he's done an unbelievable job of that to be as young as he is. You've kind of seen a full progression of what it looks like to be a big leaguer and play every day, and what Tyler's done this year. And I've been incredibly proud of the way he's handled it. And I think you're seeing right now what he's been the last 2-3 weeks is a really, really, really good big league hitter at such a young age. So you've got the full scope of the whole experience of, like I said, a hot streak, the league adjusts, you go through a little down period, and then he is readjusted and he's come back doing what he did earlier in the year. And when you see the ability to kind of come out of those tough periods is when you kind of know a guy is going to stick and is going to have a lot of success for a long time.
When you got guys that are struggling, when I think of a guy like Lawrence Butler, now Zach Geloff coming back up, trying to figure out, how do you help the young guys who are going through an extended period of struggle?
It's just making sure that they're still believing in themselves, and that's infusing confidence in them, because obviously both those guys are unbelievable players. They're going to help us win a lot of games, both in the last month here and in the coming years. So just making sure that they understand how good they are and how special of a talent they are, and what they can do for our team is the most important thing there.
I'll end on this. One of the great shots from Home Run Derby is they pan the camera over to your wife. She was holding one of your baby girls, had the other girl next to her, and I'm like, priceless moments. They probably won't remember, but that will always be on camera forever. I don't know how much you guys have talked about it, but those moments, those family moments, they're priceless.
Yeah, it was special to have them on the field with me. Obviously, Blair is getting close to the age, I think, she'll start remembering things. She might be a little young at that time to kind of take that with her long term, but hopefully a few things stick here and there, and it's definitely a memory me and Allie will have.
Hey, let me tell you something. Great stuff, and we always appreciate your time, and good luck with those kids tomorrow at the camp.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Brent Rooker, all-star outfielder and designated hitter for your Athletics, and that's going to be a great camp tomorrow. Hope everybody will enjoy in Sacramento. Coming up here, we'll have Dan Petry from the Tigers. He'll join us coming up here in just a little bit. One thing that was interesting today, and they had it on MLB Network, and I just wanted to bring it up. Well, we'll get to it in a second. Brent Rooker is a class act. and to watch him grow in our organization. And, we were here at the Kimpton Sawyer. It's the hotel not far from, right over our shoulder here, in downtown Sacramento.
It's across the bridge and to the left.
It's the Kings Hotel. It's next to the arena. The Kings built it. It's where all the NBA teams stay. A lot of the Kings live there during the season. When they had the ceremony for Brent Rooker and when he had his press conference. Yeah. And I just remember being so happy for him, everything that he's been through. When you talk about leadership, we expect, and I don't know, we were having this conversation, I don't remember when, and they're talking about how, like, the Mets, and they've had some struggles, and people have said, well, what about the leadership with the Mets? And everybody goes, well, they just signed a guy for $700 million. It's like, well, just because you're a talent and you have unbelievable talent like Juan Soto doesn't mean you're going to be a leader. Brent Rooker, some leaders, their leadership comes from what they've been through in their life. And we expect in sports, for some reason, the guys who are the best players to be the leaders. But why would they be the best players? Because they haven't gone through the great adversity. You think Ken Griffey Jr. went through a lot of adversity? Like when Ken Griffey Jr. at the end of his career was kind of being called out, right?
Yeah.
He's falling asleep and the lazy boy. Ken Griffey Jr. wasn't a leader. Ken Griffey Jr. showed up with his hat on backwards, hit bombs, played an unbelievable center field. Life was easy for Ken Griffey Jr. So it's like we expect the great players to be the leaders. Like, that's not how it works. Not in our sport. Now, obviously, when you're like a quarterback in the NFL, you need to be the leader because you're the guy. But in baseball, you're just the guy that's really good at the sport. The best leader, like one of the best leaders I've been around, is never going to be a guy that was ever an all-star, was never really an everyday player. It was Johnny Gomes.
Yeah.
Johnny Gomes is one of the best leaders that I've ever been around because he understood leadership. He understood people. He had been through adversity. Life just hadn't been a bed of roses for him. So he could help players, and he had the ability to hold star players accountable. And I think of a guy like Brent Rooker, who's done everything in his career, right? From the standpoint of being a top draft pick, being an absolute star in the SEC, to getting traded, to, being moved on from organizations because they didn't want him anymore, to a point to where he and his agent were talking about going to Japan.
Yeah.
That I mean, can you imagine having that conversation with your wife and you're starting to a young family and you're looking at your agent going, well, we can sign with the A's or we can go to Japan. I mean, life wasn't easy for Brent Rooker. And if he didn't make it with the A's, if we would have selected Christian Pache over him, who knows where he would be. So he's the kind of guy that's been through some great times and some tough times. So he has the ability really to reach the other 25 guys in the clubhouse. He has ability to talk to all of them. Obviously, he's a very bright guy. But he has the ability to, whether if you're going good or going bad, he can understand, relate, talk, and help you.
Yeah, and you laid it up perfectly with him because he's been through everything. Obviously, a great college baseball player. So he had that experience. Then coming to the major leagues, he had to cut his teeth and grind his way to where he is now and being the leader and I wouldn't say, and I guess the star of the team. And that's where he is. And having being able to get advice from him, a guy that's been a two-time All-Star, guy that was in the home run derby, even parental. I mean, there's going to be a lot of new dads and new husbands on this team. He's a good guy to go to because he's been through it. And I can't believe I'm saying he's the old guy on the team. He's 30, but he's the older position guy that you go to, the sage, as they say.
Who is the oldest guy on our team? Michael Kelly,
Severino.
They're both like 32.
Austin
33.
wins when he was here.
Right now, who's the oldest guy on our team? Well, Severino's out.
Yeah.
Severino, by the way, did throw a simulated game today, 50 pitches, could get activated if he feels okay on September 1st. No rehab. Brady Basso, I like Brady Basso. I've been a Brady Basso fan. Left-hander, the curveball. Brady Basso is back. He's going to be in the bullpen. Joey Estes just been a rough year. He's got a herniated disc after he he was in the game on Sunday. He goes back on the IL. That's the news from the day. Who is the oldest? I bought you some time. Who is the oldest
Looks
player?
like it's either Jeffrey Springs or Sean Newcomb and Michael Kelly. They're all 32.
32.
Yeah, and then Sevy's 31. I shortchanged him.
Wow.
Austin wins too.
Yeah, well,
he was born in 1990. He's on the injured list.
Yeah.
By the way, Towny, you mentioned Johnny Gomes. Where is he from?
Trust me, I saw you over there. I saw you doing that, and I was not going to acknowledge that he is from Petaluma, but yes, Johnny Gomes is from Petaluma. Michael is from Petaluma. We have established, technically, it is the Bay Area. We have to accept it as the Bay Area. We're not a Bay Area team anymore, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that I live in San Jose and he lives in San Jose.
But they weren't in the Bay Area a week ago.
Do you want to do Dan now?
Well, we're only gonna have a few minutes, and that's why I was waiting.
Yeah, Dan's got to realize, Dan, you and I may be the only two guys here that were at the 1984 World Series. It's Dan and I. We're gonna have a.
So let me see. Let me ask Nate if we can break. Nate, can we break early?
Can we break early? Okay, so coming up next, I got a World Series champion. Tigers baseball is back. It was an incredible run last year, and you wonder, after an incredible run, can you back that up? AJ Hinch and the Motor City Kitties, they are backing it up. Best record in the American League. We'll talk about it next, right here on A's Cast Live.
Here's the pitch, and it's a hit. Folsom Lake Ford has stepped up again, winning the Triple Crown Award, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, now 7 years in a row. Folsom Lake Ford is a top sales leader in the U.S., along with being top in customer satisfaction, in sales, service, and finance. Now that's a home run. Don't miss the huge savings on your favorite models at your truck headquarters. Folsom Lake Ford, in the Folsom Auto Mall.
Shea Langoliers joined Chris Townsend on A's Cast Live in West Sacramento to talk about stepping up and becoming a leader for the A's.
Maybe towards the end of last year, the end of 2024.
Yeah, it's something that just kind of happens. I mean, all of a sudden, guys start asking you stuff. You used to ask those questions. Now those questions are being asked to you, and it's kind of something that just gradually happens, and all of a sudden you're kind of a guy people look up to, and I've really noticed that, and we understand when we have players in this situation, and like where you are right now, and the younger guys come up and they start bringing up your name, I start realizing, okay, we're starting to see that transition. Tell us what that's like. It's got to be a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, it is kind of funny. Like you said, it's the questions I was asking when I first came up, and the questions that I'm getting from the younger guys now. And I'm not one to claim to know all the answers and have all the answers. Just be as honest as I can with them, what my experiences were, what I went through, what I thought helped me. And like I said before, everybody's different. Everybody's going to have, a different answer to what their question is. And I just, go off my experience and what I felt made me better, and then they adjust with that.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
A's 2025 first-round pick Jamie Arnold talked about the feeling of getting drafted during his sit-down of Towny on A's Cast Live.
Yeah, that's kind of when it all set in for me, because obviously leading up to the draft, you don't know where you're going to go. So, once I got the call and I knew I was going to be an A, it kind of all set in for me, and it felt real. And, thinking about this team, it's such a young team, and, we're moving to Vegas. So I was super excited, and, I'm super happy to be here.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Streaming from West Sacramento, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
I've got a World Series champion, and I got an all-star. Dan Petry joins us here. He does radio for the Detroit Tigers. He was a part of that historic and truly one of the great teams in the history of our game, the Detroit Tigers got out to a 35-5 start and then boat raced everybody. And then, of course, they played the Padres in the World Series. I was a little kid. 1984, I was 12. I got to see you pitch. We got to see Game 1 and Game 2. So you and I were at the World Series when you won the World Series in 1984.
I remember you. I remember you hanging over the dugout asking for autographs and everything. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah.
What a run you guys had. It was amazing.
Yeah, it was. And you mentioned the 35-5 start, which was just incredible. And, it wasn't quite as easy. The Blue Jays, we never really ran away from them until maybe the very end. They made it difficult. But even though that great start, they still put pressure on us.
And whenever we talk about best starts of all time, whenever we talk about best teams of all time, if you guys would have won a couple more, but there's no question the 1984 Tigers, you had it all. Defense, pitching, bullpen, power, one of the greatest teams of all time.
Yeah, and especially that start that you mentioned. But the other thing that was so incredible about it, I think it was we won our first 17 or 18 games on the road to start that season. So everybody wants to get off to a good start. And then, you're putting up numbers that Little League teams don't put up, but you go into all the other teams and you're going into their place and everything, and it's overrun with Tiger fans, and we're just going in there and steamrolling teams. And at the end, we're walking off and we're getting standing ovations because there's so many Michigan fans that were in all these visiting ballparks. It was an incredible year.
And it's one of the reasons why I love Comerica Park now. It oozes Tigers history. Right? Everywhere you go, there's Tiger statues.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, it's pictures of all the greats. I mean, when you look at history, the totality of an organization, our organizations like that, it'll be interesting how we do that in Las Vegas because you're going back to all those great Philadelphia teams that have all the Hall of Famers in the World Series titles. I love how Detroit did the stadium because it tells you truly the history of one of the great American sports organizations.
And there is a lot of history. And I'm glad you brought up all the history about, the A's, the Athletics, because of all the years that I spent in the American League. I remember going and being from Southern California. It was a special place to go, the Coliseum, and some of those great teams that they had. And I grew up with the 72, 73, 74 teams, that were just incredible and kind of like my idols. I remember Vida Blue, for gosh sakes, that year that he had in 74, I think it was, going to watch him down at Angel Stadium. So yeah, it's fun to be a part of teams that have a lot of rich history, and watching some of the players now that are accomplishing a lot of things that Ty Cobb accomplished, or Hank Greenberg. That's what's incredible. The guys like Riley Green, the stuff that he's been doing, Tarek Skubal, some of that. Hal Newhouser, he's doing things that Hal Newhouser, Mickey Lolich. So yeah, it's pretty incredible to follow that history and then put it to present day.
The Skubal guy's okay. He's an okay pitcher.
And Shea Langoliers, certainly think so. I know that. But, that was quite a matchup the other night on Monday.
You talk about Skubal, just the talent, and it's just crazy when we talk about it, because you want to go, God, what he could be long-term, you just don't know because 2 Tommy John surgeries. So let's just hope he stays healthy for as long as he can, because that arm, you guys get to watch it. It's crazy special.
Yeah, it is. And, that was what was so kind of disappointing for Tiger fans on Monday was just, every time out, he's got incredible stuff. Every time. There's not one time that he goes out and you're kind of, oh, boy, he doesn't have very good stuff today. It's always great. Monday, I don't know if it's just all his family and friends that were in the stands, but that was some of the best stuff that he's had all year. And then, the A's to come back and to win that game on the big, a couple of big home runs, but the big grand slam from Shea Langoliers, that was like, wow, that was a slap in the face. Like, what just happened? But that's how good the Athletics are playing right now. Good young team. And if you talk to a lot of the Athletics, Chris Crone, we went to the same high school together. So I was talking to him and he's going, we've got a group a lot like you guys, that kind of built up a couple years ago with the young guys, and they're kind of just coming into their own. And it's a lot of similarities between the young Athletics team right now that we're playing and what the Tigers had to go through a couple years ago.
Yeah, I was telling you off the air, I was back in Michigan, and it was during the playoffs last year, and you're just like going, man, they made this run to the postseason and won a round. They had Skubal and just good luck. And, AJ Hinch, we've known AJ for years.
Yeah.
I got to play against him in college when he was at Stanford and I was at San Jose State. And then, he played for the A's, drafted by us. Then, of course, we did in Houston. And now it's like, it was so impressive. But what's more impressive is we've seen teams make run. Teams get hot, get to the postseason, and then they just don't carry it over. The Tigers have just not carried it over last year, having the best record in the American League. This is the real deal.
It's very good. And again, talk about similarities. In 1983, we had a tremendous year. We won 93 games, no wild card that year, and we finished second to the Orioles, who went on and won the World Series. So we were going into 84 feeling really, really good about ourselves. Hey, we got a really good chance to win, get off to a good start, which we did. And I think that's what the Tigers are going through right now, is that they had a really, really good year, that solid, incredible finish in August and September, 34-11, whatever it was, to make the playoffs. So they came into this season feeling good about themselves and saying, we didn't like losing in the ALDS. We want to go a little bit further. And I think that also that it's a good team, but I think that little bit of sour taste, from what they experienced in the playoffs and losing has lit a fire for them going into this year.
How impressed are you the way AJ Hinch uses all 26 guys and really like the 40-man roster?
He's incredible. And his first year in 2021, the roster wasn't nearly good enough, and the record that he was able to achieve with that group, it was like that opened our eyes. Like, this guy is incredible, the way he pushes all the buttons and everything. And I remember one player saying that AJ is playing chess when other managers are playing checkers, and it's fun to watch. And the other thing that's great about AJ is that he explains, he teaches us what to kind of watch for. So during the game, we can point out a lot of the strategy that's happening or is about to happen because of all the moves that AJ has done. So he's just a joy to watch, and the players just love him also.
All right. Before we let you go, we know you got to get out of here and do a game. I had to ask you about Justin Verlander passing Walter Johnson. And you just look at that list, and you being a great pitcher during your time, just to see that list and for him to be ninth, and you look at everybody on that list and what Walter Johnson did, and to pass Walter Johnson. I know Verlander still means a lot to your guys' organization. What does that mean to be ninth all time?
And I read a couple of quotes that he had about it. And, for him to be wowed by doing something because of the careers he had, that tells you what it meant to him. I remember Miguel Cabrera passing Babe Ruth in hits, and he kind of went, ooh, that's a big one. So for Justin Verlander to pass Walter Johnson, that's one of those ooh moments that you like, wow, that's, in the history of the game to accomplish something like that. And he's, of course, solidified his place in the Hall of Fame a long time ago, and he's just still going. He's still going, still incredible.
Well, and also what I love about when we talk about the history of the game is when you do something like that, it makes you go back to remember how great Walter Johnson was. And then all of a sudden we start looking at the list, and a guy that obviously you played against for many, many years, you start remember just, my God, how great Nolan Ryan was. And when I was a little kid, we used to go in San Diego, when he would come with the Astros, we would go. Nolan Ryan came to town, you went, because you never knew what could happen, right? I mean, you start looking at Nolan Ryan's strikeouts, it's just like, my God, that record.
I mean, what is that, 2,000 more or something like that he needs to get to that? I grew up in the Anaheim area, so I went to a lot of games that Nolan Ryan
You went
pitched
to Angel games.
Absolutely, yeah. And had a Nolan Ryan poster on my bedroom walls, and ended up, I never pitched against him, but certainly played against him just in the opposite dugout. And I remember he used to wear the eye black and just mean as a snake with that 103-mile-an-hour fastball, vicious curveball. He was something else.
Well, I tell you, one of the greatest moments I ever had, last time I was at Tiger Stadium when I used to travel with the team, it was like 2019, and I was sitting there in the booth by myself, and this man came in and said, "Excuse me, son." I turned around, and he goes, "I'm Al Kaline." I'm like, oh, my God, it's Al Kaline. And he goes, "I don't travel with the team anymore, but I know you guys have your community fund. If you could get some balls and bring them here tomorrow, I'll be back, and I'll sign balls for you to take back to Oakland for the community fund." And the whole time, like, of course, I know exactly. You're Mr. Tiger. You're Al Kaline. My God. and he left. And I'm like, did this really happen?
Yeah.
And the engineer was the only one and he was like, we couldn't believe we were floored. So I go down, Steve Vucinich, our legendary clubhouse man. I go, you're not going to believe this. So he gave me 2 boxes of balls. Next day, I had 2 boxes of balls. Once again, I'm in there by myself. Here floating in comes the great Al Kaline, signs the balls, and the whole time I'm like going, this is what makes our game great. When we talk about the history of the 84 Tigers, or when you mention a guy like Al Kaline, who came up to the big leagues at 18 years old, truly one of the greatest players of all, it's what makes our game great.
It is. And just, we watched him growing up as a kid, and then to have him doing television when we were playing and getting to rub elbows with him a lot. And I have similar stories about that, always trying to get a ball signed to auction off. And you only want one? Come on, bring another one.
Yeah.
I'd be more than happy. This will make more money for your high school team, And that was the way he is. You were talking about playing Oakland Hills golf course up there, and Al Kaline was a member there, and they still talk about him, having lunch every day in there, and talk about a golfer too. He was a heck of a golfer, and you have to be to play at Oakland Hills.
Well, hey, thank you so much for the time. We really appreciate it.
It's been a great time. Thank you.
Good luck to you guys the rest of the way.
Thank you very much. And, I'm looking forward to another good game tonight. The first 2 have been good, and looking forward to another one tonight.
Dan Petry right here on A's Cast Live. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Great stuff. We going to Summerlin in a few minutes? Okay. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. So one of the things that we've been talking about for the Athletics, which has been so good, has been, and you could use these notes right here for the bullpen. Since June 24th, we're going to highlight this today. The A's bullpen has been the best in the American League in ERA, WHIP, opponent's average, opponent's OPS. I mean, I got to tell you, it has been such a turnaround since June 24th, something that we're definitely going to highlight when you see us later on today on NBC. You would have never thought the way things were so bad with the bullpen, especially in that run when they weren't doing well. That's why I didn't realize the number. We knew the numbers were good. I had Cody look it up big last night during our postgame show. I was just stunned. I was really just stunned. The remake, remodel, redo, wherever you want to call it, of the bullpen, to where all of a sudden, this is not a small sample size since June 24th to be the very best in baseball. Truly shocking. I mean, when you say shocking.
Yeah, because you asked me about it yesterday before we talked to Emo, and we kind of been tracking it, and we went, and I kind of slipped the last few games, and I haven't looked. And I went back and looked, and I'm like, okay, the ERA, everything's been great. Then I went and looked at a couple guys came to my mind, and that was Justin Sterner since he got recalled. And then just looking at his numbers since beginning, the 10 games in August, he has a 2.13 ERA. Pretty impressive. 14 strikeouts, 1 walk. Tyler Ferguson, since being recalled, he's pitched in 8 games, has a lot of walks, but no runs allowed, and 9 strikeouts and just 3 hits and 10 innings pitched. Those are 2 guys that were pitching a lot early in the season, went down, worked on some things with Fran Reardon, Paul Abbott down there, and with the Aviators, came back, and they've been incredible for the A's bullpen the last, since June 24th, but for them since the beginning of August. And then guys like Hogan Harris coming in, pitching in high leverage situations and getting saves. There's been a lot of guys in the bullpen that have kind of turned their careers and seasons around so far for the A's.
Yeah, Hogan Harris. And we were talking to Scott Emerson about this. The fact that Hogan Harris, if we went back, I think the interview was in spring training in the dugout where Hogan Harris was joking about how he doesn't throw very hard. And now he's throwing 95, 96. He's like a complete, it's like, who is this guy? He, something about where he's been able to say, okay, if I'm going to be a bullpen guy, and maybe it's him just buying into truly he's going to be a bullpen guy, I got to air it out. And his airing it out is now 95, 96. And now you throw in that breaking stuff that he has. He's a completely different pitcher. And I got to tell you, Tyler Ferguson, I don't remember. Scott Emerson said there was some of this last year. I don't remember. I'd have to really go back and check. I do not remember Tyler Ferguson blowing 98. He blew away Julio Rodriguez in Seattle with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball. I was like, who's this guy?
Yeah, I remember earlier in the year he was throwing mid to high 90s, but not 98.
Not 98.
Yeah, and he was really good for the team last year, and he was a great story. And then I think a lot of it with him was I've had this, I think myself and Martin Gallegos of MLB.com are talking. It just might have been one of those things where he just pitched. They used him too much in the year, and he got worn out. And then he goes back and he goes down, figure some things out with the Aviators and comes back, and here he is, and he's been great. Hasn't given up a run since he's been back. And this is what you kind of,
Wait, did you say use the bullpen too much early?
Well, I kind of think you kind of had to, but then again, that's just the way baseball is. So, have you looked at the innings pitched for starters and relievers? I mean, it's pretty close.
Isn't that what baseball wants it until it goes bad?
Yeah, I mean,
Now, how many things in life are like that? How many things in life are you want it and then it goes bad and then you realize, I don't want it anymore? How many things like, because they don't want their starters to go deep, especially at the beginning of the season. They will find every excuse to pull a guy early. And I know I'm Old Man River, and I know I talk about this all the time, but if you really follow baseball early in the season, they will find every excuse to pull a guy because they want to get to the bullpen, and then everybody pretty much starts at every point during the season. Everybody will have burned their bullpen, and their bullpen will go through a mass struggle. Dodgers spent millions on their bullpen, and at some point, guys are just going to the IL. We just start burning through our bullpens, and then all of a sudden you realize, oh, my God, it's not working anymore. And what do you hear from GMs and managers? Well, we need more innings from our starters. And you're like, come on, man.
Well,
it's like John Gruden trading Khalil Mack and then saying, it's tough to find a pass rusher.
Yeah, right. If you trade one of the best
come
ones.
on, man.
And, real quick, going back, another guy to highlight, too, is Elvis Alvarado coming in. I mean, since the beginning of July, he has a 2.59 ERA. I know his ERA in August is a little inflated, so that's why I go back a month where he's had a lot of bulk of his time. But going back to July 2nd, he has a 2.59 ERA and 24 in the third. Just another guy that we claimed. Little suspect in his debut. Then he gets sent down, comes back, and figures some things out. It seems to be Fran Reardon's doing something right down there with the Aviators and the guys that are going down there coming back.
Stuff is kind of sexy.
Yeah, yes, it is, David Forst.
Well, when you got movement at over 100 miles an hour, he does have especially I think it was the outing in Baltimore where he started to once again, I go back to Shooty Babbitt where he talks about body language. He's always looking at body language. The body language that I saw Alvarado have in Baltimore, that was a guy with swagger. I got a big arm, and I'm going to shove it down your throat, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's the mentality of a closer. And for the first time, I went, okay, I see it. Like before, he is just another big arm guy, can't throw strikes, and then when he has to go throw strikes, he gets hammered. Because you don't throw strikes, and then you have to throw 100 down the middle, they're going to crush it.
Yeah.
The velocity does not affect play. The modern day player has grown up with this velocity. So as it's the evolution of all players, right? As these kids grow up throwing harder, well, the hitters do nothing but face it. So they evolve with it. Everybody is evolving, right? When you talk about velocity and its speed, right? Like speed in the NFL. Wide receivers are faster than ever. Well, so are the defensive backs, right? Everybody's faster together. So, yeah, these guys are faster, and we now have 5, sometimes 6 wide receivers. These defensive backs have grown up with it too. They've got the great speed, and they've grown up covering all these different, these kids are used to the quarterback staying in shotgun all that. I mean, now look at basketball. The evolution from the Rockets to the Warriors to everything's shooting 3-pointers. Well, now everybody's growing up with that, and it's not as big of a deal because everybody's shooting threes.
Now it's having 7-footers that can play like point guards.
Correct. We have 7-footers who shoot threes. So it's like everybody evolves. Well, these hitters have evolved to where if they know you got to throw, they know you got to throw a fastball down the middle and it's 100. That they're feasting off of that.
And real quick, we're going to
Alvarado, what has changed with him is that throwing strikes, movement, breaking stuff, confidence. That outing in Baltimore, he had swagger. And guess what closers have? Swagger. You're playing the music, you're playing the song, they come in, they're the
light show.
They're like the cowboy coming to end this thing. I mean, it's death. It's supposed to be Texas Walker Ranger. Yeah. What did I say? Walker? Texas Walker Ranger. Yeah.
Love
Texas
that.
Walker Ranger. What is it again? Official
Walker, Texas Ranger.
Texas. It's been a while since I've seen the show.
The great Chuck Norris.
Was there any man better than Chuck Norris? Maybe Bruce Lee. But
Yeah.
other than that,
Well, we have our own badass that works with us. He's not here now.
Who?
He's handling the affiliates.
It's affiliate night tonight. Where are the affiliates?
They're one of the suites where I have to go see them later. 2-time black belt Ray Jensen
versus 2-time black belt Steve Sachs.
Yeah, that was a question I threw around to everyone. Who wins? Who taken to a fight? To fight to the death? Who you taking? Nobody picked Sachs. Everyone took
No
Ray.
one picked a 2-time World Series
Everyone
champion?
went with Ray. I wonder if age played a part of that.
Rookie of the year.
Doesn't mean anything.
Oh, wow. 5-time All-Star from West Sacramento. No one took 65-year-old Steve Sachs.
No, they wanted the young stallion,
Young punk.
33-year-old
I'll
Ray
take
Jensen.
Saxy and that gray hair any day of the week. But, yeah, the bullpen, we can't rely on this. I'm just saying it's great. I want to highlight it. We're going to talk about it today on NBC. You can't rely on this to happen for 6 months. It's just you will, the more you go to it, the more you weaken it long term. Starters have to give you innings. And if you don't give innings from your starters, you go a couple games of throwing everybody and they start to get burnt. Next thing you know, it's an S-bomb show.
Yeah, and like we're gonna get to Chris Mallory here in a second, and this I think there was a whole discussion I'm gonna be now today, but because Justin Verlander and you mentioned to Dan Petry about his strikeouts, he might be the last guy that gets to 200 wins. Will that crop him, Kershaw, Scherzer?
So clearly, your generation has wanted to establish wins don't matter. Okay, but there's more to that because you've got to get innings to get wins. So now if you're saying wins don't matter, you're also now from a generation that says innings per start don't matter.
Yeah, that's how it's going. That's why we're going to have to relook how we do the Hall of Fame.
No, you're going to have to rework how you play the game.
Also true.
Because there's not enough arms on this planet. We're pitching over 800 guys a year. There's not enough arms.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's something we talked about.
And you got more guys getting hurt.
This is something we talked about for the last. Year 6 now. We're doing
how many more Tommy John surgeries you need to see? Scooble's the greatest pitcher ever. Yeah, he's had 2 Tommy John surgeries already. I mean, it's just everybody's like a ticking time bomb. Yeah. More importantly, the president from Summerlin South Little League, Chris Mallory, they're having their parade today down in Summerlin. They won the United States Championship, then lost to Chinese Taipei in the World Little League Series Championship. But what a run that they had. They took over the entire valley, and they're going to be honored down at the Aviators game later today. Here is Chris Mallory, the president of the Little League. It was an unbelievable ride for Summerlin South Little League in Nevada as they just were spectacular in the Little League World Series, representing Nevada for the first time in the U.S. Championship game, of course, winning the championship. The World Series. We have Chris Mallory, the president of Summerlin South Little League. You have to be so proud of just what a magical ride your kids and the adults and the parents, what everybody went through.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me. Yes, what a ride. I mean, this journey started in mid-May, and here we are late August, and these kids not only exceeded all expectations, but they really lived their childhood dream, right? What 12-year-old doesn't want to end their Little League career in Williamsport, Pennsylvania? And these kids just were incredible all season. Really, had a little adversity, but really just kind of came together as a team. And man, I mean, they could hit, they could pitch, and those are 2 big keys to winning baseball games. That's for sure.
We all play Little League, right? And we all have this dream. It's so magical. Can you get there? Can you play on national television? What it would be like? And of course, 99% of us all lose early and we never get that. Like, when did you start to realize we got something here? This could be something special.
Yeah, so I think when these kids were 10 and 11, those all-star teams, some of our biggest competition is just here in our own district. So it's our neighbors, right? District 4, where we're at, has some incredible competition. And then, once you kind of get through that gauntlet, to get into state, you've got 3 other teams you've got to compete against, and then obviously getting in the mountain region. But these boys I've seen grow up the last few years. We knew that this was a special group. I don't know, obviously wanting to get to Williamsport is the dream. Thinking that they can win a U.S. championship is just beyond anything that you could imagine. And here we are, right?
No doubt. You beat Connecticut, and then you're going up against Chinese Taipei. What was the pressure like? I mean, this is national television. This is what people are watching all over the world. Take us through that experience, just the pressure of that.
I think the boys did an incredible job of really just kind of keeping within themselves. I think they didn't worry too much about the cameras. Although I was told by a couple of the parents, the media exposure was starting to get a little overwhelming for some of them. But I said, hey, you know what? That's what happens when you hit game-winning home runs and make incredible catches. But the boys did an amazing job of just kind of relaxing and playing their game. And you've got to give TJ Fexer and the coaching staff a lot of credit there because, again, at the end of the day, it's a baseball game, right? And if you can convey to the kids that it's just a game, we're playing it no different than we played it when we started playing our regular season back in March. Little do they know that the eyeballs of the world were on them for a good couple weeks. But I thought they did an incredible job of really just kind of tuning out and just going and playing their game.
Well, Summerlin is such a beautiful area. Of course, our Las Vegas Aviators, our AAA team is there, and we love coming down there. And it is truly amazing when a team like this of kids come together and they start to win, how it brings the entire community together. Talk what it's been like in Sutherland, because I'm sure the way it brought everybody together was just magical.
Yeah, Chris, not even Summerlin. I mean, just the whole valley. I was getting text messages from the North Las Vegas mayor, the Henderson mayor. I had an AC guy here in my house who had no idea I was affiliated with Summerlin South, asking me what if I knew what time the game was, right? And so again, the Valley is just such a special place, and Las Vegas really does take care of Las Vegas. And this group of boys was able to transcend a community and really get them just tuning into Little League Baseball for a good week as they made an incredible run.
And shout out to the parents too, because I know we show them during the games, but people got to realize that the lives change when you go through runs like this, and there's a lot of bosses out there that allow people to take time off. It costs money. There's a lot of time. So shout out to all your parents, because there's a big commitment when a Little League team makes a run like this. They've got to sacrifice a lot so that these kids can get to Williamsport.
No, you hit it on the head. They all got back yesterday. They left for San Bernardino in late July. And they hadn't been home since. So again, the rock star lifestyle is great, but when you're living in a hotel for 3-4 weeks, those bills get a little high, and not something that you had in the family budget when you were setting it up the month before. So yeah, it definitely, our parents have been incredible. We've been raising money thanks to great supporters like yourselves who helped. Will help offset some of those travel costs. Nothing better than going to the World Series, but as a couple parents told me, nothing crazier than figuring out how you're going to get your family there in a matter of 48 to 72 hours. So again, it takes a village, and our community rallied. We've raised a good amount of money to help hopefully offset some of those travel costs for those families.
No doubt, because these are priceless moments that everybody involved, including, as you said, the entire Valley, No one is ever going to forget this run. The parade is tomorrow. Obviously a parade. You guys are the U.S. champs. It's at 6 o'clock tomorrow. And Nick Carter from the Backstreet Boys, I know they were just there at the Sphere. They were there for a while. They're going to be back at the Sphere, but Nick Carter's going to be there. Talk about the parade tomorrow at 6 o'clock.
You know, no better way than to be able to welcome the boys home and to be able to celebrate them than a parade in downtown Summerlin, a place where all those boys walk around and run into the shops and know. So we're so thankful for having Nick Carter. He lives in the Valley and has really supported this group since the beginning. Not only donating to the cause, but also putting his own social and really rallying behind this group, which has been fantastic. And only in Vegas can you have a Backstreet Boy MC the Little League Parade. So we're thrilled. We want the community to come out. As you said, 6 o'clock, downtown Summerlin. Place is going to fill up quick. And then they'll literally go from the parade into the Aviators game, where they'll be honored at the Aviators game, who take on the Iowa Cubs tomorrow night. So plenty of tickets available for that game as well.
Yeah, Stomper is going to be there. I know it's going to be a great party and a great time. Hey, thank you so much. We truly appreciate it. We wanted to address this and talk about your team, talk about this run. We know how magical, just watching it and just seeing you guys continue to win. You're like, oh, I was even talking to Sean Estes, former Giants pitcher who grew up just below in Douglas, just south of Carson City. He was like, those guys in Summerlin just beat my little league. So it's like, it's amazing how many big leaguers and ex-big leaguers have been following your run. Your kids have been absolute rock stars. Enjoy every moment of it. Like I said, these moments are priceless. These parents, these kids, and everybody around it, you'll remember it forever. What a treat, and congratulations on everything.
Well, thank you so much, and a big thanks to the Athletics. Man, you guys have been absolutely fantastic with the videos that you've shared for the kids, the shout-outs on social. Our kids tell me all the time, they're used to watching the Athletics, and to have the Athletics watching them was just absolutely surreal. So a big thanks to the Athletics and the organization from everything you've done. You've made these kids feel ridiculously special.
Well, enjoy the parade tomorrow, and we'll see you down there in Summerlin coming up pretty soon.
Can't wait. Thank you guys so much.